Great, so just to welcome you all, thanks again for coming. We're really excited to tell you a little bit about energyPLAN. And in a nutshell, energyPLAN is designed for building operation teams. We help plan, implement, and report on energy consumption, cost savings, and opportunities to continually optimize building performance. And so we wanted just to get Benny's view and comments and thoughts on the energyPLAN program. And just to start us off, what was your original vision when you came up with this program? How'd you get it started?
Sure. Can you all hear me all right? All right, I talk pretty loud, so I'll project. Yeah, energyPLAN was a concept that kind of originated. I worked with a lot of existing buildings and property managers back in the, I guess, late aughts of the 2000s, and developed a lot of relationships working on projects with building engineers and property managers. And I'd get phone calls after we started this company in 2012. I started getting a lot of phone calls from those folks asking questions, or they wanted a quick analysis done of something. And it didn't take a terrible amount of time. It was something we could do in half a day or a couple hours. And you know, it's hard to bill a couple hours here and there when you're a small company and you're working on big projects. And we were already doing small contracts with a lot of these clients and clientele. Do like benchmarkings and certifications for Energy Star. And so it kind of originated out of, like, let's just see if we can package all these things that we do. The buildings clearly have a need for an energy engineer to help advise on projects and to help roadmap and focus their projects. So we took all the kind of common things that we were doing for people and made energyPLAN as a subscription service.
So it sounds like you got a lot of one-off questions, helping people with individual things. So how did that evolve over time to when you started, and what you're helping teams with now?
Sure. It's changed actually quite a bit more. At first, I really thought the service was going to be kind of an on-demand consulting type gig, where it's like a lawyer's got a retainer. I thought, oh, we'll just charge them a small fee, and they can call us whenever they want. We'll answer their questions. And it started off that way, but it turns out, you know, people don't always know to call you. So we've kind of changed it over the years to be more of a proactive service. And we realized a couple years ago that helping bring innovation and ideas and concepts to the clients that subscribe to this was more value than just sitting around waiting for them to call to help them out.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is the biggest thing that separates the Cyclone program from other programs that might be out there?
Sure. I'm not really aware of any service that's exactly like ours that really is a energy engineering consulting service that we provide things like the benchmarking support, and a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies provide dashboards and information to people, but they really don't have any way to help them analyze that and prioritize it and understand it. They get a report every month in their email, and half the time they might not look at it. And a lot of times you need a report for an upper management or a portfolio manager, and if you don't have someone to help you do that, it can be pretty stressful. So I think the way we differentiate ourselves is we bring knowledge, and we also bring you know, the information that we gather from the portfolio of buildings that we work with. So we work with a lot of different types of people, a lot of different types of buildings, a lot of different types of equipment, and we've got this, we're able to share things that other people are doing across their sector as well.
That kind of taps into my next question of why is a human needed? Why can't we just, you know, there's so much automation out there that's giving us the data that we know we need, but why is that human element really important?
Well, there's two parts to that, I think, that are important. I think one, the human element is someone's got to do it, and it takes time. So do you want that to be you as the property manager, or do you want to outsource that and have someone else help you with your time? The other aspect of that is, you know, they're just that analytic focus. The software platforms, as good as they are, they aren't personalized to what your goals and activities are in your building, and it really is hard to you know, put things in the right order. So it's good to have some advice from someone with the experience that's gone through it before and can help you prioritize and manage your checklist.
Sure. And what would be like a typical client profile?
Most of our clients originated out of Class A commercial office buildings, typically high-rise city buildings, but we've worked with smaller buildings, suburban buildings have been in this program, and multifamily residential is somewhere that we're starting to get into, having some high-rise multifamily residential clients do it. We typically see buildings because there's a cost to the service and you want it to pay back, they need to be able to use some energy and have some energy consumption to be able to get the return on investment from our service.
Do you have any projects that you could highlight as a very unique problem solving or one that just stands out in your memory?
Yeah, I think the one that I remember the most was a few years ago. It's a building called 203 North LaSalle. It's a transportation building up here up by the river. 1980s building, really beautiful building. And they were our first energyPLAN client, actually. And we were working with them and helping them roadmap some major capital investments that they were going to do. They were putting a new building automation system in a couple years to upgrade their antiquated pneumatic Honeywell system that couldn't control or give any feedback to anything. So, but in the interim, we had identified that through the utility company, there was a great incentive to put VFD drives on their cooling towers, but we realized without a good control system, we didn't have any way to control that equipment. So what we did was we installed the drives, got the incentive, and the way we got it to work was we called the manufacturer of the drive and found out that we could put some logic into that drive temporarily to do the sequence of operation we needed to get the energy savings they wanted ahead of them. So they started saving money on that project ahead of doing their building automation upgrade. And then, of course, once they upgraded, they plugged it right in and everything worked as normal. But that was an extremely low cost, high return on investment project for them.
Can you talk a little bit about why a subscription type of program is so beneficial to the teams that we work with?
I think the biggest benefit of having a subscription like this is that there's persistence to it. You have the knowledge. Building ownership changes quite frequently, especially in an economy like this. You can see a building flip in 2.5 to 3 years pretty quick. So anywhere between 2.5 to 7 years, building ownership always changes. Sometimes property management changes. Often personnel change. It's pretty infrequent to have someone other than possibly the chief engineer of the building that has that institutional knowledge of the building. And so from an energy perspective, for us, we can aggregate the data, collect the data, and continually report on the energy savings. I think there's a handout on some of the tables around here that's kind of a roll-up report of a lot of our clients that kind of show their savings. And we present that report to the management every year, personalized to their building, that says, well, year one you saved $100,000. But you also say that $100,000 year two because the measures are persistent. And we're walking through the building as consultants and looking at it. If we see something has changed or reverted back, we can advise on why it should have stayed the same and what the benefit of that is.
So as you're working with these teams year to year, like where do you see the program going in maybe the next 5 years?
Yeah, we definitely are trying to grow this program right now because it's been very successful to the clients that have subscribed to it. And I think probably the next step that we are starting to actually get, besides getting more clients in more diverse buildings than Class A commercial office and residential, we're starting to see more clients on an institutional or portfolio level scale. So the next thing would be to help people that manage large portfolios of buildings, be it a real estate investment trust or just a portfolio group, asset group, helping them see and prioritize projects at their building levels from a higher level up. Because a lot of times the authority to approve those budgets comes from someone at a higher level. And so I think that's kind of the next progression we're going to see the program go to.
Great. So just one final question, and then we'll open it up if you all have any questions. But what would be the first steps when someone's wondering if it would be a good fit for them or how to get started? What would be a good way to do that?
We typically like to try to introduce people to the program by making our services as free as possible, which is always free is always a good word, right? So especially locally, we participate with a lot of the ComEd utility incentive programs, particularly the monitoring-based commissioning and the retro-commissioning programs. There, the utility company has an incentive that actually pays our entire cost as long as you, as a building property, implement certain energy efficient measures that we recommend in our report. And that allows us to learn your building, get the data that we need. That's really the initial collection of data is very time intensive and can be costly. So it's better to have someone else pay for that because then we can kind of launch right into our relationship ongoing. And we also get involved sometimes through building audits, or if a building's doing a green certification such as LEED. That's another entryway. But that's how we typically like to start off.
Great. Any questions about the program?
Hey, Tom.
You mentioned the initiatives. Do you think they'll be around forever?
Well, the local utility incentives aren't guaranteed forever. I don't know what the current statute is. Is it 7 years now?
They're on for another, they were on the end of the first of 6. So they've got 5 more years
5.
after this that they'll be.
I thought I've heard other states may have dropped them. They've had similar programs.
There's been a lot of states, particularly in the southeast, that have switched to doing opt-in. So here it's a ratepayer program, so as even a homeowner or a resident at all, your utility bill has 1% of it going to a fund that gets redistributed back to the state, or the ComEd in this case, to manage that and redistribute its utility incentives. But a lot of states are switching how they do that, but we're pretty secure, and they've got a lot of money. they can't give it out. Would you say it's $1 million a day or something like that? That's right. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. Other questions? All right. Here all day. Thank you.